blessed love and peace. Um, oh, we share. Oh, I'm speaking English too. Oh, look at that. Why not? Um, it's for the moment. Je parle français. Je peux parler en français, s'il vous plaît. Mais maintenant, all day. Arguing with myself. Beautiful, such is the nature of the United Nations. Within one, within each, within all, within us. Without further ado, here we go. Yeah. Um this is not a sad weepy weepy. This is not a sad weepy weepy. This is a reflection amidst conditions for reconciliation, understanding, overstanding, middle standing, middle path. What am I talking about? Oh, this week is my birthday. Oh, and it is a, what they call it. It's not a benchmark. It's one of those big birthdays. It's a big birthday. Oh, it's my 50th year on this earth. Give thanks and praise. So don't mean to sound sarcastic. Don't mean to sound overcompensatingly sarcastic. Maybe that's what it is, though. All that being said, the plans for my birthday are actually not even nil. It's less than nil. Because my birthday, God willing, occurs. I'm actually trying to free up some space on this joint. Oh, I know what to do. It's simple. My birthday is scheduled for. Oh, am I going to share too much information? Do I already enough? My birthday is scheduled for Thursday. Now the thing about it is that this Thursday, actually every Thursday, I gather with my more. Oh, is that too much information as well? Oh, on the streets, in these internet streets, we own it now. All be. I used to, at least. God willing, I continue to. So, we're also in garden up, push back mode as well. So that can be something for us to discuss. But anyways, continue on with this joint. And I also don't have the T-shirt on. It's being mended at the moment. I shouldn't say it's being mended. I should say it's in requirement of mending, of being mended. So that's the situation with that. Continuing on the regular scheduled program. I visit with my Moors on Thursdays for years. By the grace of the Most High, I'm very thankful amidst all the ups and downs and ebbs and flows and whatever's. Transcontinental deportations and otherwise. Thursdays. Not this Thursday though, because my family is out of town. What up, Woodpecker? On my birthday. And cruising. So it is what it is. But that's what it is. I'm here. Dolo style, and my family is out of town on the high life. And this is actually very much not a weepy, and I'll explain, God willing, why. But first, got to give some further context, because that's not all, folks. And this is not no dig at all. Peace and blessings with all my family members. Significant, severe, genuine peace and blessings and well-being. My family is doing the best my family knows how. So ain't no hidden, no addedness or nothing. Not at all. Nothing. I give so much thanks and praise for my family. I'm thinking about the song from the brethren of Lumi Nation for the indigenous sister. That I'm singing that regular. We are singing that regular. So we got It's too much. Life is too precious and too fragile and delicate to be on any type of selfish jealousy, vengeance, or whatever else. That being said, we can talk to conditions and speak to conditions and work. Oh, I didn't mean to scare the woodpecker away. We can speak on conditions, and what is this? Because particularly one, in the interest of healing and finding solution, but also in the interest of that involving like a change in the circumstances or otherwise. But that's one reason. The other reason is healing in terms of reconciling of why, particularly things of the past, reconciling why that happened, and what was the purpose in that. How does that? What are we supposed to take from that? What are we supposed to do with that? And so particularly, and then as it's continuing to go, what are we supposed to do with it today when it doesn't seem to be reconciled yet? And it's not a matter of like wanting and wishing and praying for anybody to change their ways or whatever, but for ourselves, what are we supposed to do in these conditions? That's a nasty of love. Is that is fusion involitionally, involuntarily, like for better or for worse, for life. So, and how we reconcile with our own personal selves in our relations with others, particularly our family. So to give that, so now that disclaimer has been articulated, we give some further oomph to the isolation anticipated on my birthday celebration. It's the Jubilee year. Wada, free the slaves. Yovel. Teshuvah. My birthday, y'all, is always preceding Yom Hayom as well. So there's mindfulness with that. So anyways, regular, not even planning to do the regular thing on my birthday, which would be to me my more, because my more is out of town. So the prospect is Dolo style. So again, no pity party. It's just facts. And again, dudes don't talk about their birthdays because it's a cosmic thing. I mean, young brethren would like, oh, it's your birthday, boom, 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 there your birthday licks. But when brethren mature and grow up, brethren find out the further cosmic vulnerabilities when people know about birthdays, because it's a cosmic vortex experience. And what I'm talking about is this. I remember 24 years ago, to the day, on my birthday, the day before my birthday, and I was locked up during the birthday. But that was the first time I got beat down by the police and locked up, charged with a federal felony assault 24 years ago, to the day, this week, right before Labor Day. And again, as a youngin, 25 years old, 26, something like that, 26 years old, 26? How old? Oh no, that would have been my 26th birthday. I was 25 when it happened, technically. So that's further introduction to the cosmic vortex of vulnerabilities on one's birthday. But that's not all, folks, because the next year, was it the next year? No. It's 2 years later. The next year, a little bit later, the 11th of September, hold on. You could say, I don't say clapback, but again, it's the cosmic vortex. And whatever vitriol I might have had, and I did have a lot during that time, anger is suppressed in places you don't want to know. But people reach in those places and utilize that vitriol for their own devices. And one of those is eventually the manifestation of the hostilities and the demolition of the 11th of September 23 years ago. But that's not all. That's just a side note. What I'm actually saying is the second 2 years later, after the first time, which would be 22 years ago, that's the first time I got locked up in a psych ward. Again, I think it was actually on my birthday, the birthday weekend. Nasty business. And it's with the direct involvement of my family. So, those are some of my birthday party recollections. And the thing about it, and this is what I'm getting to right now, is that, like, what happened on the first time, like being beat down by the police, that was just surreal beyond the birthday experience. That was just like, and again, brethren got killed by undercover police that same day. A university student got killed. Prince Jones got killed that same night that I got beat down. So it tempered any anger. I still had lots of anger, but it tempered it, and it was surreal. Like, yo, that's it. Anyways, so I wasn't even thinking about my birthday too tough at that point, because it was like, it was beyond that stuff. Now, the second year, 2 years later, when I got locked up in a psych ward, that again was like, just, it was beyond. Like, I heard about people being beat down. I've heard about that. I've seen that. I know what that's like. Rodney King, everything else like that. Before that, okay. When I got locked up in a psych ward, I was just like, what is this? Like, yo, this is like comical, except for the fact that you are actually like assaulting me. Like, this is like, okay, where's the bloopers? What's his name? With the "you been punked," whatever, Ashton Kutcher. Where's Ashton Kutcher at? You know, okay, no, but you got police. Oh no, but no, those guns are actual. Wait, no, hold up, but those cuffs. Wait, hold up. Nah, y'all not supposed to be like actually assaulting people. Like, y'all taking it to another level. And then wait, hold up. Wait, lock up. Wait, forcefully. Wait, you're cutting off my clothes now. Wait, hold up. What you doing now? Wait, forcefully. It was just too, like, it got just further and further surreal. Like, it was ridiculous. And even after like being tortured, raped, molested, and other things, I'm still like this is my birthday. And I'm like, okay, this is a practical, like, okay, y'all tripping. This is a practical. I did not actually think that, but that thought kept occurring. Like, this is just so unreal. This has to be a joke. This has to be a practical joke. But at the same time, like, yo, you don't joke. It's like killing somebody and saying, oh, just pretend. No, that's gone. It's done. That's not a joke. So the things that were being done to me, that's no joke. But that's what it felt like. It felt like, wait, do y'all not know like where to draw the lines on a practical joke? Like, do you recognize that like you've gone too far? Like, okay, now, okay, even then, okay, but now, okay, let it go now. Let it go. And it's like, no, continual doubling down. And it just became, whoa. Oh, wow. So anyways, all that being said, today, over 20 years later, as I'm experiencing this prospect of my 50th birthday, God willing, this week, hallelujah, Baruch Hashem, alhamdulillah, Jayom, Shishamado Om. This week, my 50th birthday, the marquee, like, huge birthday. A minority of people on this earth make it to 50, particularly of this hue, in this continent, in these politics. Don't make it to these ages. So give thanks and praise to the Most High. And it ain't been easy. And it don't continue to be easy, but it's valuable. So we recognize we rolling and rocking with the higher purpose. We ain't better or worse than anybody else. But anyways, that's what it is. 50th birthday. Now, you know, my more, actually, for my far's 50th birthday, threw him a nice party in our new house. 44 years ago. I remember it very clearly. Family from out of town, friends up from out of town arrived. I'm more like cooked up meals and everything else like that. It was like a very, very invested gathering. That's his 50th birthday. Well, I ain't got no wife to be doing that for me too tough at this moment. But instead of even doing anything remotely like that, or even doing the things that we usually do, she's gone, she's bounced out of town. No hate, no shade. But it does hit because it's intentional, and it's not her intention. It's people putting my family up to it, and that might sound very fortuitous interpretations. Additionally, it's facts, it's actuality. Like, for example, when my father passes from life, my more kicking me out of the house, throwing me, working with agencies, whatever, having me put in a psych ward again. And I'm sounding bitter now, but this is further context. But my father passes from life. A few months later, after a number of years, I'm sent into another psych ward. This is 18 years ago. 17 years ago, so thereabouts. Sent to another psych ward, and the condition for being released from lockup is to stay in a halfway house. However, the thing about it is that this halfway house was very expensive, and it would need to be covered by one's own monies to stay to have a forced residence in a halfway house and pay for it. And so it was either at that moment it was either lockup or the halfway house. And so I had work to do, and so it was recognized the work I can do can be done in the halfway house. Now, when agreeing or acquiescing to that ultimatum, the streets initially was not an option, like just walking the streets doing whatever else. And there's no absence of any other faction to take on the cost, be like, yo, we got you, we stake you, whatever else, because there's too much division. We're mixed, and ain't nobody claiming that too tough to be that hardcore at that time. So it's either lockup or the street. No, what streets wasn't even an option because I was in lockup. The only way of getting out of lockup was to go to the halfway house. And I was in the halfway house. The streets was an option, but in the streets at that point in my life, I'm already known. So once in the streets, once I'm found, that's lockup. So it becomes either halfway house or lockup. Again, the halfway house option, this is a long side note, but the halfway house option was that, but this goes into the mentality of like understanding like what's going on, like the psychology and the mind fuckery and just like the nastiness. And so what happens this week is like, it's a drop in the bucket, so to speak. But this is, again, 17 years ago, right after my father passed away, months after my father passed away. I'm still in official grieving, still 1 year within that frame of my father returning to our ancestors. Kicked out of the house and locked up, then faced with the ultimatum of either staying in lockup. And again, it's not just lockup, because it's lockup and it's like, being chained to a bed in some nondescript insane asylum. And further, again, subject to daily torture, forced druggings, and that's not even the worst of it. Because I mean, you can look at things like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and additionally, and like that's actualities, that's histories and actualities. So it's not pretty. So that's either that scenario or halfway house. So I do the halfway house, but the thing about it is that with the halfway house, again, the government ain't paying for it. The insurance, there ain't no insurance paying for it, whatever, Social Security, whatever feigned semblance of that. I already renounced citizenship before that point. That ain't covering it either. It's going to have to come out of private owned funds. So, it just so happens I refuse accepting any inheritance that my father passes on to me, because I was away from money at that time, wasn't using money at all, and relying on my family, yes, for food, shelter, but other than that, wasn't doing things that require money too tough. So the stipulation is at that time that and when my father passes and leaves me a modest amount of monies, I don't care. I don't want that. I remember my father and what he shares with me in his life and the legacy that he shares with me in his life. That's my inheritance. So money, that's nothing. I was. And that's a whole other thing. Peace and blessings to my father as well. But I saw how money's corrupt people. So I don't care about the monies. So I wasn't using the monies. But this is what it was. You're not going to take the money. So we're going just like those forced drugs, we're going to force that money into you. And this is how it's done. The only way of being in the halfway house is to pay for it. And guess how it's going to be paid? Those monies that I refused for inheritance. You're going to take it and you're going to like it in that halfway house. Because the halfway house, it was so expensive. Ridiculously expensive, like maybe like $1,500 a month. This is over like 20 years ago, nearly 20 years ago. $2,000 a month or something like that, chewing up quick whatever inheritance I received from my father. So like my father's works, the things that he invested for me to have in this life were being utilized to keep me in halfway house lockup. It's just so dirty buggers. That's nasty. But that's the psychology we're talking about, and it's done through the family. So there's these pretenses of authenticity or genuineness and everything. Because if it's strangers doing it, it's easy to be like, no, bump that. but it's because it's the people, because family members are leveraged and threatened and otherwise. It's the best. It's the lesser of whatever harms are being communicated. So that's the mentality. That's what we're working with, and and anyways, that's the actuality. So today, after returning from Denmark a couple years ago, and essentially attaining sovereignty, world sovereignty, having a table at the seat of world sovereignty, a very modest and novice, comparatively novice seat at the table of world sovereignty. Kinfolk in the United States are increasingly infuriated, but at the same time are further hamstrung in doing things directly aggressively. And so one become further belligerent in being non-cooperative. So things that are like basic things in terms of using the internet, communicating with things like Google Voice and otherwise, those are being further and further reduced, less cooperative, further belligerent. And then indirect passive aggressive hostilities through third parties, kinfolk from the streets and otherwise. So anyways, that's some of the conditions that we're dealing with. My point for that is that there's increased, just like there's a further resentment. It's like when a child is being bullied, and eventually the child goes to like the teacher or goes to the principal, and then the bully gets in trouble, and now the bully's mad, but the bully can't do anything because there's further attention on the bully. So then the bully tries to do things through other people's ways, try to do coalition, that type of thing. So that's what's being experienced right now. Our purpose and a primary reason for the world bringing me back here, whatever the pretenses are from the official government story, the basic reason for me being here is to help facilitate the process of transition of American society into whatever post-U.S. Political arrangement is made, and optimize the well-being, the peace, the harmony, the cooperation, the cohesiveness, at least the cooperation and the peace between all the different factions, all the different syndicates, all the different cults and everything on this land. That's a primary reason for me and us being here. So it's a greater purpose and a greater power than the United States, and it causes resentment, particularly amidst the local potentates. And so we get shots across the bow, and additionally, fake summons to court, other hostilities, urination at the sukkah, things like that, just provocations. And but at the same time, there's a recognition, like, I'm not saying untouchable, but it's kind of like that Gus Ferenz kind of situation where kinfolk are somewhat, and there's no guarantee, and I don't want to talk too much out of pocket, but it's along those lines. So anyways, there's further in the ways that are still available for people to do the manipulation, leveraging others close to myself, and additionally, now it's like ridiculous, because again, it's my 50th birthday. All my family, all my immediate family went on a trip together basically out of the country without me on my 50th birthday. Now again, it's not a big deal in my family. Birthdays are this, that, and the other. For some, for others, it's further important. But again, 50? To leave the country on my birthday, that's not just happenstance. That's a statement. And people can say, oh, but I mean, that's just the family relations, and that's what you get, and this and the other. It's beyond that. Because my family don't hate me. We just had dinner, or we gathered together in a genuine, congenial way. Now, again, there can be articulations and rationales, and additionally, those are the bullies, those are the bumbleclots, those are the Bhakti boys, and the punk cowards working through passive-aggressive means because they're too weak themselves to be men and be direct and honest. some of the most beautiful creatures on this earth are crevice dwellers, and so too are some of the most vilest. Some of the most beautiful creatures are sun soakers, soleil soakers, and some of the most vilest are soleil soakers too. It runs the gamut. These particular ones are generally crevice dwellers. You could say that's not shade. You can say that's shade, because that's literally facts. Anyways, point is, this week, in this experience of my birthday, my birthday, pity party, pity party, pity party, pity party, pity party. That's what the conditions are. And it does make one thing. It does make one reflect. What's going on? Like, come on, this is the 50th. Like, I'm supposed to be married. I'm supposed to have children. At least, at the very least, without those things, at least my family's supposed to like come through. At least 50th. Come on. When 75th, 100th? What else? When's going to be another time to do that? That's not the case at this moment. Now, again, and again, this is part of the psychology of, wait, maybe this is all a surprise party. We're not indulging in that scenario. So, anyways, those are the conditions at this moment. That's some of the history. That's some of the experience. That's some of the context. Delving into this week and this completion of half a century of life. What up? Now, it does, like I said, anytime, 50 years, anytime one reaches that stage of life, that's cause for pause. Stillness, not the illness. Reflection, thinking. And I mean, in one sense, I can look at what I would have thought to have in this life, or experience or be in this life. Again, a father, a husband, not necessarily in that order, a husband, a father, an employee, and a holder of a I don't even know what they're called now. 403, 401. It's not 501c3, 401k. That's, I think, what it is. And just like a householder, a house owner, like just the typical thing. And I know why I am at this moment. I know the decisions I make, and I stand by that, and I thank God for it. But at the same time, like there's this like, why couldn't life just be like regular? Why couldn't I just like be like just everybody else and just not worry about everything like everybody else seem to worry about everything. Now, one is that the wisdom shows and teaches us that everybody's worried about something severe. So just because I'm experiencing this one thing, those who do have those things that I might want or covet or whatever else, they're going through their own joints that are just as severe. Who am I to think I'm further afflicted or otherwise? So no coveting anything. That's the one thing my mama always say. What is that? Don't be envious of others. Don't want for what others seem to have. You don't know the troubles others are going through. Something along those lines. Anyways, how about that? Let's be further respectful and accurate. One is don't wish negative on others. The other is, there are a lot of things, but another one is don't be envious. Don't be covetous of what others have, because we don't know what others are experiencing. So anyways, that's one of the things growing up in life. And again, a lot of these lessons are difficult to absorb, to practice as youngsters, when we just want to do what we want to do, be with who we want to be with, and this and the other. But when they are repeated painfully, painstakingly, and painfully repeated, it's like, I'm tired of hearing that. But I'm glad, I'm thankful for hearing that. So that continues with me. So not coveting others, or even like grieving the loss of a life that I thought I could have had or would have had or should have had or whatever else. Not even doing that. It does like there's a binary of either there are things that I do, and to be honest, there are things that I don't think about. I don't want to think about, because there's less purpose. There's no changing past, essentially, um, and there are things that I think about that are painful to this day, that I don't want to think about because there's no changing it. I can articulate that so that others who are experiencing something similar can like find some comfort or solace or whatever else. And I'm getting to solutions here as well. So that's part of the purpose of all this. But I mean, again, the notion of like being like a husband and father, and additionally, it's not just for myself. It is significantly about myself. It's about just being in a partnership. Um, I'm without that experience of having a wife or girlfriend for longer than a few months in person in this life. And so that experience of having partner, that helpmate in life, that experience of like that romantic fall in love in the early youth, travel and have life experiences and build a foundation of affection and camaraderie, and then bringing new life into that, and then supporting having a family, in that love and affection that a husband and wife have for each other. I'm beyond that stage at this point. There's still that semblance of that. I still hold on to affection in this life. However, that dream, youthful travel together in this life, um, at this point, to be honest, there's still guidance for me being married with a woman who is younger, and so it's not a matter of like living off her youth. However, um, it is an adjusted dream or an adjusted vision, and it can be perceived as an adjusted dream or adjusted vision. It's the exact purpose of what it's supposed to be. Um, so it's again, but the further thing I think about is this. To be honest, I think about my relations. I think about my family. I think about my far. I think about my far who's already passed. I think about just that presumption of being married when in my 20s, 30s, having children, and like my children knowing their grandfather in this life, because I didn't know my father's far. He passed away before I was born, and my father's more was very elderly when I'm a youngster. So I remember her, but it's just very modestly. So my presumption growing up, I knew my father was comparatively old, having me when he's in his late 40s. Um, but my more being comparatively young in her 20s. So I already know my far. By the time I have children, my far is going to be somewhat elderly. But there was always that like kind of like presumption, without even thinking about it too tough or planning for it too tough, of being married, having children, and my children, at least my children in my generation, meeting their grandfather, and like having some valuable memories of my far, their grandfather. Um, that's not happening. It's done. It's not an option. That's gone. And we can grieve that want or whatever else, but that's somewhat self-indulgent. It was never promised. It wasn't given, and it is purposeful. It is beneficial for children to know their elders and forebears. It's not even an option. It's not a question at this point. And as my more becomes older, then I grieve the things that she used to do very regularly with some of my nieces. My nieces meeting my far. That any children I have in a proper way in marriage and further, um, it's not happening at least in the same way. So as I reach this 50 years of age, there's that tendency, that option, that indulgence, that necessity of looking back, of grieving the things that we thought we would be, that we thought we would have, that we thought we would experience by this point. Presume just automatically, just like automatically go to college, automatically get married, automatically have children, automatically have a job. Just plug away, do what you're supposed to do, and there it is. Life is a little bit different than that. So at 50, uh, pushing it in this cosmic vortex of vulnerability, um, These are some of the reflections. Now that's one option. That's one tendency, is looking back and grieving the things that aren't done. We can obviously be thankful for the things that we do. And I guess that's the third thing I'm going to share, I guess. The second thing is, then we can look about, okay, so what do we do with the rest of our life? Are we going to have another 50 to work with? Are we already over the hill, most likely, statistically speaking? If that's the case, how many years can we be expected to have at this point? By the grace of the Most High Elohim. A quarter of a century? We can look at track record, parents, grandparents, forebears. Look at health, livelihood, or not livelihood, lifestyle. I was obese, over 400 pounds for a number of years. That don't add up very nicely for the longevity of body. I do decent exercise. I have a decent diet in terms of vegan, but still oil, salt. Don't eat too much sugar. Walk generally, but still not as much as I should. Still got the flabby. Some of it is just the skin from 400 pounds. Some of it is accumulated from sitting here doing these joints. So health is decent. Ain't no guarantee though. Don't know what's building up. Don't know what's and ain't going to no doctor's too tough either. So ain't got those options of surgeries and mitigations. So that factors into the longevity process. So okay, well, if not, grandparents lived to 99, 83 thereabouts. Far to 75. More is over 75 at this moment. I ain't saying specific age. So that bodes decently. All my family abstains from having too significant health concerns in latter stages after 50. I do remember my father has heart surgery for something or other. I think it was a minor surgery or something like that. I don't know what that was about, but in terms of chronic illnesses or whatever else, I mean, eventually in later stages. But anyways, health, it's kind of like a 50-50 kind of situation. So maybe another 20 years, God willing, maybe another 30 years. And if that's the case, if I'm going to plan for that, marriage, children, what woman is willing to have? These are some of the thoughts at 50 at this stage. What woman is willing to have make that type of commitment to bring life into this world, to be responsible for caring for that life for the rest of life, with the prospect of a husband being around at best perhaps 20, 30, eking 40 years. What I rely upon is that what I have to share in this life is knowledge about how to live in this life, for my wife, for my wives, for my children, such that rather than a monetary stack pile, whatever, to leave for inheritance, it's a knowledge about how to walk these roads of creations. Diplomacy, discipline, compassion, honesty, modesty, routines, relationship and rhythms of this world, to be compatible and thrive in any community, any language even. I don't speak all the languages, but do have decent relations with the languages. So anyways, that's what I share, so that whenever I may proceed onto our ancestors, into the dreaming, by the grace of the Most High, I provide my wives, children with proper sustenance, relationship, support in this life. That's what my resolve and intention and diligence is, and that's where I am at this stage, ready, completing this last project, God willing, this last big project, and from this, God willing, returning into my spiritual practice, which has been somewhat considerably neglected, and garden up, push back. Garden up meaning cultivate garden in the home, cultivate garden around the home, cultivate garden around the village, through our routines, through our regular presence, through our regular sharing, modest, intentional, resilient, by the grace of the Most High, and building accordingly. So that's what I'm focusing on as a being on this earth. But still have yet to get to the points of this though. What else we got to share? Mm. Okay, so that's some of the nows. That's some of the not worrying about, like, reflecting on the past, um, looking at the plans of the future. Again, I have a kinfolk of blessed memory, Sam Rose, who would say, "Man plans and God laughs." So we still got to be in this life. So we have to, and we have responsibilities of preparations accordingly. So I work with that. We work with that, and that's what we do. And then we also work on the now. So again, the now is rhythm and relationship, and that's what we're cultivating. A rhythm meaning the rhythm of the seasons, the rhythm of the cycles, the rhythm of the days. Tuning ourselves with this, the rising and the setting of the daybreak, the daylight. Our routines within each day that strengthen us, that nurture us, that heal us. Um, Body, mind, heart, and spirit. Uh, the rituals that connect us with nature, our source of nutrition and sustenance and healing and well-being. The plants, the elements, the water, air, fire, the darkness, seeds, and further. And connecting with relatives who are doing the same. That's rhythms and relationships. Uh, so when it pertains to my situation with family and whatever accusations may be made concerning my family, amidst all the contentious conditions, circumstances, here's some perspective as I peruse through our handy dandy world lit study book of stories of the world, 124 124 legends. Still working my way through it. About halfway done at this moment, thereabouts. We read the narratives, the biographies of some of the most influential people in world civilization, recognizing one, many of the kinfolk, particularly those who assume the position of kings, don't live that long. 30s, 40s, very often tops. Often die brutal deaths, often die through betrayals. Those are kings. Sages tend to be further quiet, reserved, or what's that? Reclusive. And so quieter life tends to lead to a further longevity life, sometimes being married, sometimes not being married. All the monks, but also the sages that walk the lands in addition. Not making claims that are contentious for others with similar mindsets of conquest. That's one of the policies. Ain't no guarantee, but it's one of the policies of diplomacy and longevity. It's one of the reasons why monasticism is increasingly able to coexist within the evolved Roman imperialistic methodology, because at face value, it's monastics abstain from having children and heirs and necessarily claims of property. That becomes abrogated when monastics begin accumulating property and have power to do so mentally, because don't have responsibilities of the regular household life. That's another story. So the now, looking at my relationships that I just mentioned with my family, and additionally, again, as I said, looking at the stories, seeing the examples, looking at my life, looking at the stories, looking at the life. Am I jumping from place to place? It's all synonymous to unique. Big up the brethren of the bond. So, looking at my life and looking at the stories, the narratives of the legends, recognizing the legends, many of the legends don't make it fitty, Ain't no better or worse, just that's facts. So it helps put things in perspective. That not only that, but in that course, at early age, Sunjata at a young age, the rivalries in Europe at young ages, um, even before speaking, toddler, elementary school, middle school, His Majesty Haile Selassie I, and additionally, all different types of vying, competing for the throne, family members betraying each other, going to war at each other, killing each other, betraying each other, murdering each other on the sly for power, position, the throne. So even when kinfolk make it to a certain age, oftentimes it's because of surviving and even committing those betrayals against family members, direct kin, blood. So recognizing that, recognizing the trod that we are on in this life, it helps put things in perspective. Even recognizing rivalries amongst our prophets and ancestors and sages, the difficulties in reconciling family, Jesus and his kinfolk, Abraham Avinu and his sons, the 12 sons of Israel, Avinu, Yaakov Avinu. There being severe competition, rivalries, betrayals, even in the family relations. The Siddhartha leaving his house, Arjuna facing his cousins on the battlefield. So, all that being said, point is that amidst whatever challenges I'm experiencing this week, amidst my birthday, when I think about it, when we think about it, you know what? Actually, we're doing kind of decent. My family and I, we're on speaking terms. Amidst all the challenges, all the perceived betrayals or whatever else through the years, we're on speaking terms. We're on congenial speaking terms amidst all the difficulties. By the grace of the Most High, we experience decent health by the grace and thanks to the Most High Elohim. And so, though those things in and of themselves, just those two, being in congenial terms with each other and having decent health, with thanks and praise, all thanks and praise to the Most High, that's huge. Afidi. They're not call it a success per se, but it definitely not ain't. It definitely not ain't. Now, I intrinsically, like my regular vision is like looking at like the epitome of families getting along and thinking like, yo, brothers living in houses next door to each other, in villages next to each other, seeing each other daily, going to gatherings, singing songs, breaking bread daily. That's my working model. That's like the middle path I intrinsically envision. And it don't come necessarily from any traditional teaching. It just comes from, like, maybe it comes from the ancestral instinct or otherwise. It comes from seeing examples of that around me. It comes from seeing my father's relationships. My father grows up without a brother or sister. However, he grows up with cousins and friends. And I see his relationships with his friends. And so, again, there's some presumption with that. But then as an adult, we recognize that, things don't happen by presumption alone. It takes work. It takes communication. It takes regularity. It takes diligence. It takes compromise and honesty and painful searching within ourselves. It takes letting go of egos. It takes forgiveness. It takes apologies. It takes, and it takes, and it takes, and it gives too. That's the nature. So, health, congeniality. It may not be that living across the house next door to each other or in the same next door apartment buildings or whatever else, next door apartment flats in the same building or same village, whatever. May not be that way at the moment or yet, but at the same time, it actually is decent, all things considered. And all the pain and investment through the years to this day for the sake of relationship makes a difference. Even though kinfolk don't necessarily say it or otherwise, let it be known. It does. I did say a blessing for this before beginning the recording. So again, putting things into perspective, with all things in praise to the Most High Elohim, amidst the surface level of conditions this week on my 50th birthday, amidst the reflection and the preparations and otherwise, there is genuine gratitude for where we sit today. And genuine diligence in continuing to communicate and gather and heal and strengthen and support and nurture our relationships. That is where things are at this moment. So that's part of my birthday spiel this week. Excuse me. I think Paryushan is this week. Like I said, I've been off the calendar too tough recently. But we are approaching that intense zone. Paryushan is a period of atonement, of reconciliation, accounting for the things that we do in the past year. Very akin to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And so this is a time of reflection. It's the concluding of towards the concluding of the harvest season in the northern hemisphere, when the produce is being reaped. Is being sown. No, you reap what you sow. Harvest is being reaped. So that is a natural time for reflection and reconciliation about what we've done to receive what we hold. And that is where my birthday is naturally situated. I am returning now to my task at hand today. Udi, gotta recharge, which is doing a write-up for our Unabrazo culture, which describes our Mélanger culture, our Mélanger clan, our Mélanger community, the basics as the introductory or continuing thing. I got scars. I thought of a number of songs with that one, but I'm not going to say any of them at the moment. This one, I think, is further recent. This one has a story. It's a very mundane story. It's a burn. It's not even an intentional burn. I got other intentional burns not to speak of. This one, very simply, 26 years ago, 26, a quarter of a century ago, I'm staying in the Potomac area, and I'm working at Amnesty International. I'm staying in the basement flat. It was like a huge kitchen, full kitchen. It was like the first floor, but it was just one step below of a house. The house stewards. What do that for? The house stewards, our young sister at that time, 26 years ago. Wada. Yo, gray hairs, they happen. 26 years ago, sister have a house, and they let out the bottom floor to kinfolk. So I was looking for a place to stay. They had a lot of money. Yo, what? No credit check necessary? What up? So I do that. I stayed there. Now the thing is, there was no heat in the bottom floor, and it was a spread. It was like there was a kitchen, there was a living room, there is a living room, I presume it's still around. There's a bedroom. The laundry was right there, so anytime kinfolk wanted to do laundry, they'd be like, "Excuse me, Peter." That's my name back then. Got to do laundry. Is that okay? Yeah, sure. Go through. Now, that's the setup, and a big space, comfortable, very friendly kinfolk. Stayed, didn't like mind own business. We chopped it up when we chopped it up, but otherwise, like they did their own thing. I do my own thing. That was that. Is a comfortable situation. I think in both directions. I was basically on time with my rent. Anyways, I think basically I think I would follow through, because to be honest, I was much further follow through on my rent at that moment than I was when I was in law school. When I was in law school, I stayed at someplace else, and it was a corporate managed thing. So it was very friendly, and I'm thankful for being there. But I guess I felt less of an onus of actually following through on the rent on a timely basis. After a number of years, I stayed there for like 3 years. That compared to when it's young, not just young, but when it's kinfolk, like you're working directly with kinfolk, like, nah, let me look out. I want to make sure I get this on time, and additionally, so I think I was proper on time with my rent on a regular basis. But let me tell it, there's others who can testify with further credibility in those conditions, as long as they being honest. Anyways, there was no heat at the bottom of that joint, and so they gave me they let me utilize a space heater for when I sleep, and I had a futon. I was sleeping on the ground, almost, and so I lay on the ground on the futon, and the space heater is right next to the place where I sleep. And at one point, I would have it close because it got cold. Even in the Potomac area, it got cold. It don't take much coolness for it to get cold. When you're trying to sleep after the lights go down, the earth can get very cold. 40 degrees can be very cold. 40 degrees Fahrenheit. 10 degrees Celsius can be very cold. So anyways, actually that's actually described as one of the leading causes of death when kinfolk are walking rural lands, rural areas in the countryside, like from a long distance, thinking they know that land, they know the lay of the land, they walk it all the time, and it's getting colder, or it's still getting cold. It's autumn and it's getting colder, or it's spring and it's still kind of cold, particularly when the sun goes down. People think that they can make it because they do it all the time, so they don't wear heavy enough gear. It's described as that being one of the the leading cause of hypothermia, or people dying from hypothermia, of like underestimating just how cold 10 degrees Celsius is. And being unable to make it in that walk where they know the land and everything else like that, but they just ain't nobody else around to call for help. I guess that's back in the day before cell phones. But anyways, that's a side note to a side note. So they let me utilize a space heater. So I put the space heater on high because it was cold. And the result is that when I would sleep, but at least, actually it probably happened a few times, but it takes one particular time to remember, yo, don't sleep so close. Don't sleep so close to the heater. That reminds me of that adage from the Simpsons show about the man who was missing an arm, and said to the children, yo, when your teachers tell you not to put your hands out the school bus window, you better pay attention. That's another story though. So thank God for the lessons that we learn and the reminders that we have. So close up, it looks much harsher than what the actuality is. Now I got other joints that look much further benign. Actually, the joints that are most atrocious, ain't no marks, ain't no evidence, ain't no physical evidence intentionally. So all that's left is like space in the brain for remembrance and influence. So bleedy bloody blow. I do have a second birthmark though, an adult birthmark that comes from the Taino. That's another story, and I'm not going to flex that at the moment. The interesting thing about it though is that it doesn't seem to actually fully heal. 20 years, then this is again 20 years after the fact. This year, 20 years after the fact. Um, Basically, I had a gash on my shin that needed stitches, didn't get stitches because I was in Cuba and dealing with conditions. So um, didn't get stitches. It healed up, like, and there's a scar there, but at the same time, like, there's a scab that just like doesn't go away, or just, I shouldn't say it doesn't go away. It just reoccurs, and maybe it's a Scandinavian tendency, but I pick. Oh, the nasty. Oh, TMI. I pick like whatever scabs, bumps, or whatever else I have. I pick, and people might think that's nasty or whatever else. Oh no, don't do that. It's a scar. It's gonna leave a scar, like right there and stuff like that. But the thing about it, what I learned quietly is that they're buggers that get into the skin, and one of the benefits of picking little bumps or whatever is to make sure it's not a bugger. Ugh, serious? Butter teeth, not lie. Butter teeth. Butter teeth. We got to heal up and sobriety up from the sewage. So that's me included, all of us. I'm just saying. Picking the scabs. There's a purpose for it. It's not just a matter of like a nervous or otherwise. It's like there's purposefulness, and again, it's not. And there's a very awkward or very peculiar satisfaction, like, and it maybe just might just wanting things to be smooth. I'll just make that smooth, and that signifying a healthiness, just subconsciously, because it's a regular thing. And that it's different than the midnight experience of scratching. That's a different thing, even though it could be technically, or it could be physically the same thing. It's different. The midnight scratching, that's another beast, and that's another topic for conversation for another day. We're going back to the work. We got something, God willing, to share this day, including this upload. So that gives us motivation. No, we got to do it, don't we? I ain't going to say everything that's going on at the moment. I've said the priority joints at this moment. And with all that being said, all thanks and praise to Most High Elohim, known by many names and beyond all names. Respect, gratitude, and honor to all our relations. The quattro directions of the wind, Inamaka, far sky, Grandmore moon, Grand far soleil. All our plant relatives, all our insect relatives, all our swimming relatives of the waters, all our flying relatives of the air, all our walking relatives of the land, with 0 legs, with 2 legs, with 4 legs, with many legs. Respect, gratitude, and honor to all our ancestors, to all our prophets, and to all our sages, past and present, known and unknown. Respect, gratitude, and honor to all our relatives whom we meet within this life and who since return home into the dreaming and now walk with our ancestors and within the oneness of the Most High Elohim. Respect, gratitude, and honor to all our parents and all our forebears and all our elders. Respect, gratitude, and honor to all our relatives who walk the roads of creation with us today. Our wives, husbands, brothers, sisters, and cousins. Respect, gratitude, and support for all our progeny. De los primeros 7 años a los próximos 7 generaciones, Dorvador. Respect, gratitude, and honor to His Majesty Haile Selassie and Her Majesty Waizaramanen, and the perfect balance of husband and wife. One heart, one mind, one love supreme. Blessed peace and love in Rastafari.